Hello everyone, this is Mr. Vishal Massey and we'll be learning some things today. Let us start with the fundamental unit of life, cell. In this chapter we shall see what is cell, unicellular organisms, multicellular organisms, the structure of cell, prokaryotes, eukaryotes, and the difference between plant cells and animal cells. The cell, as we know, is the basic structural and functional unit of living organisms. Each living organism in our earth is made up of very tiny microscopic units called cells. Like atoms in physics, cells have the same central position in biology. The shape and size of a cell depends on the functions they perform. For example, the blood cells have a disc shape and thus have a depression in the middle so that they can carry as much oxygen as they can. The size of the cell also varies a lot. Most cells are only visible under a microscope, but some cells are visible to naked eye, like an ostrich egg. So the shape and size of the cells are not same, but the volume of similar cells are the same. Irrespective of the size of the organism, the size of an organism depends on the number of cells, not the size of cells. For example, the size of kidney cells of a human are approximately same as that of a bull or an elephant. Next, we shall see about unicellular and multicellular organisms. As you can see it in the picture, that there are some unicellular organisms like paramecium, amoeba, bacteria, and yeast. The organisms which are made up of only a single cell are called unicellular organisms, and all the activities of the organisms are performed by a single cell. Whereas multicellular organisms are made up of a large number of cells, and there is a division of labor among cells. That is, specific cells performs certain specific activities of the organism. Now there is something to note. In unicellular organisms, reproduction is done by the single cell only, and the lifespan of cells is short, whereas in multicellular organisms, reproduction is done by special cells called germ cells, and the lifespan of those organisms is longer. Different cells have different shapes, sizes, and different functions, but all cells have the same three functional regions. As you can see it in the picture, they have the cell membrane or the plasma membrane, the nucleus, and the empty space, that is the cytoplasm. Apart from the three, cells have various structures suspended in the cytoplasm called cell organelles, which perform various functions of the cell. Let us first see the plasma membrane. The cell surface membrane or plasma membrane is a delicate, thin, living and elastic membrane, and it is the outer covering of a cell. It is selectively permeable. That means it only permits certain specific materials in and out of the cell. It also helps to maintain its shape and also covers the delicate contents of the cell. As you can see it in the picture, that the plasma membrane is a bilayer membrane. It is composed of lipids and proteins, and they are arranged as shown in the picture. There are two types of proteins here. One that you can see it goes through and through the membrane, and the other one which is embedded on one side of the membrane. The one that goes through and through are called integral proteins, and the other one which stays either that side of the membrane or this side of the membrane are called as peripheral proteins. Then we have the nucleus. The nucleus is a central spherical cellular component which contains DNA, which is deoxyribonucleic acid, and RNA, ribonucleic acid. It is also called the mastermind of the cell, as it controls the structure and functions of the cell. It also controls all the metabolic activities in the cell. Now the nucleus is bounded by two nuclear membranes, forming a nuclear envelope. The nuclear membrane has many pores, which facilitates transfer of substances between nucleus and the cytoplasm. There are two types of structures found in the nucleus, the nucleolus and the chromatin material. As you can see it in the picture, nucleolus is not covered by any membrane, and it contains RNA molecules and is the site of ribosome formation. It is also called the factory of ribosomes, where the chromatin material is a thin, thread-like, intertwined mass of chromosome material, which contains the genetic substance DNA. It is interesting to note that ribosomes are vital cell components or organelles that synthesizes protein in a cell and are also found inside the nuclear envelope. Then we have the cytoplasm. It is an aqueous substance that is made up of cytosol. It is a part between the cell membrane and nuclear envelope, and it is always in a state of motion. It contains all the cell organelles that perform the variety of functions in a cell, and it is 90% water, and the rest is a solution of all the biochemicals important for life. As discussed earlier, cell organelles are like organs that they are suspended in the cytoplasm. There are various organs of a cell that performs a variety of functions, such as synthesizing substances like protein, generating energy, and to help in the process of reproduction. Each organelle of a cell is embedded in cytoplasm, and they have a definite shape and function. As you can see in the picture, the various cell organelles are labeled. It is also listed out here. We can have a look at them. They are the Endoplasmic Reticulum, Ribosomes, Golgi Apparatus, Lysosomes, Mitochondria, Vacuoles, and Plastids. First, let us look at the Endoplasmic Reticulum. It is also known as the ER. It is a membranous network of smooth endoplasmic reticulum and rough endoplasmic reticulum, which forms the skeletal framework of the cell and provides the pathway for the distribution of nuclear material and proteins. As you can see, some granular components on the endoplasmic reticulum, they are known as ribosomes. Wherever they are present, they are known as the rough endoplasmic reticulum. And where the ribosomes are not present, they are known as the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. The function of SER is to secrete lipids, and rough endoplasmic reticulum synthesizes proteins. Ribosomes are dense spherical particles that occur freely in the cytoplasm, or they are attached to the RER. Ribosomes are made up of proteins and RNA molecules. They are not bound by any membranes. They are both found in eukaryotic and prokaryotic cells. Their basic function is to synthesize proteins. In this picture, you can see the RNA molecules are arranged in a globular fashion to make up the structure of a ribosome. Then we have the Golgi apparatus. It is also called Golgi body or Golgi complex. It has a set of membrane-bound and fluid-filled sacs called cisternae, and it is found as an extensive network near the nucleus in animal cells, but it is distributed in many small subunits in plant cells called as Diptosomes. It arises from the membrane of the smooth endoplasmic reticulum, and it forms as the assembly area of various secretions of the cell organelles. How does it do that? It stores the secretions and then dispatches them into various intracellular and extracellular targets. It also produces vacuoles that contain various cellular secretions like enzyme, proteins, etc. It also facilitates the synthesis of plasma membrane, lysosomes, and cell wall. Lysosomes are small vesicles surrounded by a single membrane which contains powerful enzymes that are capable of digesting all organic materials and are evenly distributed in the cytoplasm. The enzymes in the lysosome are secreted by rough endoplasmic reticulum. They function as intracellular digestive systems as they remove the worn out and poorly working cellular organelles by digesting them so that new organelles can take place. They destroy any foreign material which enter the cell and are also capable of digesting and thereafter destroying their own cell if in case there is any damage to the cell structure which may affect the lysosomes to burst open. Lysosomes are called digestive bags and suicide bags because of the way they function. Next is mitochondria. They are called the powerhouse of the cell, and they exist in three shapes: cylindrical, spherical, and rod-shaped. They are bound by two membranes. The outer membrane is porous. The inner membrane has many folds known as cristae. This increases the surface area that is even more than the surface area of the outer membrane. They have their own DNA molecules and ribosomes, and so they can synthesize their own proteins. They are basically sites of cellular respiration. They use molecular oxygen to break down carbohydrates and fats present in the cell and release carbon dioxide and water vapor. Cellular respiration releases energy which is used in the formation of ATP, that is adenosine triphosphate. ATP is the energy currency of the cell, that is the cell's fuel. The energy stored in ATP is then used by the cell. Now let us look at plastids. They are found only in plant cells. Like mitochondria, they have their own genome and ribosomes and are capable of self-replicating. They are of three types: leucoplast, chloroplast, and chromoplast. The picture that you see is of leucoplast. Leucoplasts are cylindrical or rounded in shape and can change to other types of plastids. Function is to store food. The picture might seem that it is colored, yet this is the stain that has been used in order to visualize leucoplast. It stores carbohydrates, lipids, or fats, and proteins. Thus, they are called amyloplast, elioplast, and eleuroplast, respectively. Chromoplasts are irregular colored plastids, except the green color. Their function is to add color to plant organs like flowers and fruits so that they attract pollinators for the process of pollination. Now we talk about chloroplast. They are green colored plastids that contain a green pigment called chlorophyll. Now the chloroplast has two parts, grana and stroma. Grana is the site of light reaction. We have thylakoids. They are stacks of discoid discs. They contain the molecules of chlorophyll. Chlorophyll traps sunlight for photosynthesis and prepare food. Stroma, on the other hand, is the site of dark reaction. It is a homogeneous matrix in which grana is embedded. It contains photosynthetic enzymes, starch grains, DNA and ribosomes. This cell organelle is also double membraned, and the grana stacks are interconnected by stroma lamellae. Now the vacuoles. These are also called as tonoplasts. They are single-layered lipid membrane. They are more prominent in plants than in animals. In plants, they store sucrose, which help in the turgidity of the cell. Next we have the cell wall. It is a non-living and freely permeable wall. That is, it does not prevent the entry and exit of substances in and out of the cell, and it lies outside the plasma membrane. Cell wall is unique as it is only found in plant cell, and it is secreted by the plant cell itself for the protection of plasma membrane and the contents of the cytoplasm. It is made up of tiny cellulose fibers called microfibrils. As you can see it in the picture, a number of components together intertwine themselves to form the cell wall. It provides turgidity to the plant, and it also provides mechanical strength to the plant. There is a process called plasmolysis. When a living plant cell loses water through osmosis, there is a shrinkage in the plant cells, and this phenomena is called as plasmolysis. As you can see it in the picture, when water moves out of the cell gets plasmolyzed. When a cell is placed in an isotonic solution, there is regular movement of water and the cell stays flaccid. When the cell is placed in a hypotonic solution, the water moves inwards and the cell becomes turgid. The picture stained pink is an onion cell. Firstly, it is turgid. When plasmolysis takes place, the cytoplasm shrinks and moves towards the center. Organisms made up of prokaryotic cells are called prokaryotes. Prokaryote cells are incomplete and primitive cells, but have all the three basic structures of a typical cell, but lack nuclear membrane around their DNA. As you can see it in the picture, this cell is that of a bacteria. It has many features such as flagella, pili, and a special covering called the capsule, and they are free living. That is, they can survive as single cells all by themselves. Now the eukaryotes. Organisms made up of eukaryotic cells are called eukaryotes. Eukaryotic cells are complete and advanced cells which have membrane-bound nuclei, and all other cell organelles apart from plasma membrane, nucleus and cytoplasm. The meaning of Eu is true and karyote is nucleus, and hence true nucleus, and they are highly complex. Now we have some differences between plant cells and animal cells. Plant cells have a cell wall in addition to plasma membrane. Animal cells only have plasma membrane. Plant cells contain plastids. Animal cells lack plastids. Plant cells have a permanent large vacuole, whereas animal cells have many small and temporary vacuoles. Plants have simple units of Golgi apparatus called Diptosomes, and animal cells contain a single large and complex Golgi apparatus. All the differences are much more clearly seen in the diagrams that has been shown. So let us see what we have learned so far in this chapter. We have learned about the cell. We also have seen about the unicellular organisms and the multicellular organisms. We saw the structure of the cell and the cell organelles which are present in the cytoplasm and the various functions. Then we saw the different types of cells present in different type of organisms. The simple ones are called the prokaryotes and the complex ones are the eukaryotes. Then we saw the differences between plant cells and animal cells. With this, we wind up our chapter. Stay home, stay safe. Thank you.